Picture this. You're scrolling through your phone, barely making ends meet, trying to figure out how you're going to cover your bills this month. And suddenly, you hear that there's money coming on March 15th that could literally change everything. Your heart starts racing, you're thinking about all the things you could finally take care of, but then the doubt creeps in. Am I eligible? Is this real? What do I need to do to get this money? Well, stop right there because I'm about to give you every single detail you need to know about what's actually happening on March 15th, who qualifies, how much money we're talking about, and the exact steps you need to take right now to make sure you don't miss out on a single dollar that you're entitled to. Let me start by cutting through the noise and the clickbait that's flooding the internet right now. Yes, there is significant financial assistance being distributed with March 15th as a critical date, but it's not exactly what most headlines are making it out to be. Understanding the nuances here is absolutely essential because the difference between qualifying and not qualifying often comes down to details that nobody's talking about in those 15-second social media clips. I've spent hours researching official government sources, policy documents, and actual legislation to bring you the truth about what's happening. And trust me, some of what I discovered is going to surprise you. First, we need to establish what we're actually talking about when we say stimulus on March 15th. The federal pandemic stimulus checks that most people remember from 2020 and 2021 are not returning in the same form. However, what is happening is a combination of state-level stimulus payments, tax-related rebates, special assistance programs, and retroactive credits that are all converging around this mid-March timeframe. Several states have approved their own economic relief payments, and the distribution schedules for many of these programs have March 15th either as a payment date or as a critical eligibility determination deadline. California residents need to pay particularly close attention because the state has implemented the middle-class tax refund program with multiple payment waves, and March 15th represents a significant distribution date for individuals who filed their taxes within specific timeframes. If you're a California resident who filed your state tax return and met the income requirements, you could be receiving anywhere from $200 to $1,350, depending on your income level, filing status, and whether you have dependents. But here's the catch that's tripping people up. The amount you receive is directly tied to when you filed your taxes and whether all your information was processed correctly by the Franchise Tax Board. Virginia has also approved tax rebates that are being distributed on a rolling basis, with March 15th marking another major payment date. Qualifying Virginia residents could receive up to $500 for married couples filing jointly or $250 for individual filers. The eligibility is based on your tax year filing and whether you had a tax liability that met the state's requirements. This isn't free money for everyone. It's specifically designed as a rebate for people who paid state taxes and meet certain income thresholds. New Mexico's rebate program is one of the most generous we're seeing, with some households eligible for up to $1,000. The state structured this as both a tax rebate and a relief payment, and March 15th is crucial for residents who may have missed earlier distribution waves. If you filed your New Mexico state tax return but haven't received your rebate yet, this upcoming date could be when your payment is finally processed, assuming all your documentation is in order and your direct deposit information is current. Beyond state-specific programs, March 15th is also significant for federal tax-related credits that function similarly to stimulus payments for eligible individuals. The Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit both have provisions that result in substantial refunds for qualifying families, and mid-March historically represents the time frame when the IRS begins releasing these refunds to people who filed early and claimed these credits. We're talking about thousands of dollars for some families. Money that hits bank accounts and can be used immediately for whatever needs are most pressing. Now let's talk about who actually qualifies for these various programs, because this is where things get specific and where you need to pay very close attention. For the state-level rebates and stimulus payments, eligibility almost always comes down to three main factors: your residency status in that particular state, your income level during a specific tax year, and whether you filed a state tax return. You cannot receive a state tax rebate if you didn't file taxes in that state, period. I see so many people getting confused about this, thinking they automatically qualify just because they live somewhere, but the filing requirement is non-negotiable. Income limits vary dramatically by state and by program. Some states set their thresholds quite generously, allowing individuals earning up to $75,000 or even higher to qualify for at least a partial payment. Other states have much stricter limits, cutting off eligibility at income levels as low as $40,000 or $50,000. The income they're looking at is typically your adjusted gross income from a specific tax year, most commonly your 2022 return, though some programs are using 2023 data if you've already filed for that year. For federal tax credits being distributed around March 15th, the Earned Income Tax Credit has specific requirements based on your income, your filing status, and the number of qualifying children you have. A single person with no children can still qualify for the EITC, but the credit amount is significantly smaller than what families with children receive. For the tax year 2023, a family with 3 or more qualifying children could receive over $7,000 in EITC if their income falls below approximately $57,000 for married couples filing jointly. These numbers adjust slightly each year for inflation, so checking the current year's exact figures is important. The Child Tax Credit, which was temporarily expanded during the pandemic, has returned to its pre-pandemic structure, but it still represents up to $2,000 per qualifying child under age 17. The refundable portion, known as the Additional Child Tax Credit, means that even if you don't owe any federal income tax, you can still receive up to $1,600 per child as a refund. This is genuinely significant money for families, and if you haven't filed your taxes yet, claiming these credits properly should be a top priority before March 15th. Here's something critical that almost nobody is talking about. Unclaimed stimulus payments from previous rounds are still available to people who didn't receive them originally. If you were eligible for the first, second, or third federal stimulus payment but never got it for whatever reason, perhaps you didn't file taxes that year, or your information was incorrect, or you moved and it got lost, you can still claim that money as a recovery rebate credit on your tax return. The IRS has been processing these retroactive claims, and getting your tax return filed before March 15th increases the likelihood of receiving this money in the first wave of refund distributions. Social Security recipients are sometimes eligible for additional payments or adjustments that occur on March 15th as part of the standard benefit distribution schedule. While this isn't technically a stimulus, understanding your payment schedule and any cost of living adjustments or back payments you might be owed is important. Some Social Security recipients who had benefits withheld or adjusted in previous years may receive corrected payments around this date once their cases are resolved. Veterans receiving benefits through the VA should also be aware that certain supplemental payments and benefit adjustments are processed in mid-March. If you've recently had a disability rating change approved, or if you've been waiting for a retroactive payment decision, March 15th could be when you finally see that money hit your account. The VA processes payments on a specific schedule, and understanding where your case falls in that timeline can help you know what to expect. Now, let me give you the exact action steps you need to take right now if you want to maximize your chances of receiving money on or shortly after March 15th. Step 1 is to file your tax return immediately if you haven't already done so. I cannot emphasize this enough. Even if you had very little income, even if you're not normally required to file, even if you think you don't owe anything or won't get anything back, file anyway. This is how you claim tax credits, how you register for state rebates, and how you document your eligibility for various assistance programs. When you're filing your taxes, make absolutely certain that you're claiming every credit you're entitled to. Use tax software that walks you through these credits, or better yet, visit a VITA site, which stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, where trained volunteers will prepare your return for free and make sure you're not leaving money on the table. These volunteers are specifically trained to identify credits that people commonly miss, and their services are completely free for individuals and families meeting income requirements. Make sure your direct deposit information is current and accurate. So many people miss out on fast payment simply because they put in an old bank account number or made a typo in their routing number. If you're getting a refund or a rebate, having direct deposit set up correctly means you could receive your money in as little as 10 to 14 days from when your return is processed. If you opt for a paper check, you're looking at several additional weeks of waiting, and paper checks can get lost or stolen. Check your state's Department of Revenue or tax agency website specifically to see if they have any special rebate or relief programs. Every state structures these differently, and the application process varies. Some states automatically send rebates to everyone who filed taxes and met the requirements. Other states require you to submit a separate application even if you filed your taxes. Missing this application step means missing the money, so don't assume anything is automatic. If you're eligible for Social Security or veteran benefits, make sure your information is updated in those systems as well. Log into your My Social Security account or your VA benefits portal and verify that your address, direct deposit information, and contact details are all current. These agencies will send you notices about payment changes or issues, but only if they have correct contact information for you. For those who are helping elderly parents, family members with disabilities, or others who might struggle with technology or paperwork, March 15th is your reminder to check in with them and make sure they've taken care of everything they need to do. So many eligible people miss out on benefits simply because they don't understand the process or they're intimidated by the paperwork. Being a helpful advocate for someone in your life could literally put hundreds or thousands of dollars in their pocket. Be extremely cautious about scams right now. Whenever there's news about stimulus payments or government money being distributed, scammers come out in force. The government will never call you, text you, or email you asking for personal information or payment to receive a stimulus or rebate. All legitimate programs are administered through official government websites or through the tax filing process. If someone contacts you claiming you need to pay a fee or provide sensitive information to get your stimulus money, it's a scam, full stop. Understanding the timeline after March 15th is also important. If you file your taxes right around this date, you're not necessarily going to see money in your account on March 16th. The IRS typically takes 10 to 21 days to process electronically filed returns and issue refunds, though it can be faster for simple returns filed early in the season. State rebates can take anywhere from a few weeks to several months, depending on the state and the volume of applications they're processing. If you were expecting a payment on March 15th and it doesn't arrive, don't panic immediately. Check the specific program's website or the IRS Where's My Refund tool to see the status of your payment. Sometimes there are processing delays or there might be a minor issue with your return that needs to be corrected. The worst thing you can do is ignore it and hope it shows up eventually. Follow up proactively to find out what's happening and what you need to do to resolve any issues. For those dealing with financial hardship right now, I want you to know that these stimulus payments and tax credits, while incredibly helpful, are just one piece of the puzzle. If you're struggling to cover basic needs, look into other assistance programs you might qualify for, including SNAP benefits for food assistance, LIHEAP for help with energy bills, Medicaid for health coverage, and local community resources that provide emergency financial assistance. Many people don't realize the full range of help that's available until they actually look into it. The bottom line is this: March 15th is significant because it represents a convergence of multiple payment and filing deadlines across various programs. Whether you receive substantial money on that specific date depends entirely on your individual circumstances, which state you live in, whether you filed your taxes, and what benefits you're already receiving. This isn't a one-size-fits-all situation where everyone gets the same thing. It's a complex landscape of different programs serving different populations, and your job is to figure out which ones apply to you and make sure you've done everything required to receive what you're entitled to. Don't let confusion or misinformation cause you to miss out on money that could genuinely help you. Take action today, not next week. File your taxes, update your information, check your state's programs, and make sure you're positioned to receive every dollar you qualify for. And remember, if this information helped you understand what's really happening with March 15th and stimulus eligibility, make sure you stay connected for more updates because the world of benefits, credits, and assistance programs is constantly evolving. And I'll be here to break it down in ways that actually make sense for real people dealing with real financial challenges. Take care of yourself and your finances. And here's hoping March 15th brings some financial relief your way.